have waited over 3 years to share my story of how I went from being a evangelical fundamentalist Christian who was very much MAGA to being a progressive leftist who will be voting for Kamala Harris in 2024. And that is because my time in the Trump of cult, or the cult of Trump, was extremely traumatizing. And having to revisit it and having to argue with MAGA, it literally sends my anxiety through the roof. It's been incredibly hard for me to talk about it with close people, let alone the public on TikTok. But in an effort to help people understand the sentiment from my last video, which is that arguing with MAGA is pointless, the central focus is arguing, I think you need to understand that I'm coming from a position of a person who would never entertain an argument from anyone who held a dissenting opinion, anyone who wasn't a Christian, essentially, because as a fundamentalist Christian who was voting for Trump because I was a fundamentalist Christian, I viewed anyone who wasn't as being blinded by Satan, okay? And anyone who is an ex-evangelical or who is thinking of leaving the church will understand this, because it isn't viewed as these are the facts or that's the logic. Most fundamentalist Christians are told to reject logic because we are supposed to appeal to God, and we don't know anything, and we're supposed to appeal to God. And if Trump is God's chosen one, then anything other than him or what he says is wrong. So that is how they view things. They're not saying, well, Trump's the logical choice. They're saying Trump is God's choice. And so if you aren't a Bible-believing, God-fearing Christian in the way that they are going to view anything that you say as influenced by Satan directly. Literally, it's that dramatic. And one of the commenters said, well, what is it that changed your mind? It's not just one thing. I wish that I could boil it down to one thing and we could condense it and we could serve it on a silver platter to MAGA, but it's not that simple. It is an entire worldview. It is a bubble that they live in. And what I'm telling you is that your logic and reason arguing is exceptionally, extremely, overwhelmingly unlikely to puncture that bubble. And I'm a registered respiratory therapist who was a COVID denier in the church for like a year, until I woke up when people around me started to be severely affected by COVID in my own family. That's what it took. That's what it took for me to be like, holy shit, this is insanity. And I'm a very critical thinker. I have a high IQ. I'm not stupid. I was brainwashed by my religion to believe that Trump was the chosen one who was going to bless our land, because things like abortion and gay marriage have soiled our American landscape. And the only way to save us is to get someone like Trump in who can pack the Supreme Court and make this a Christian nation again. That's all that's going on. And if you say anything contrary to that, they're ignoring you. And if you don't think that MAGA is Christian nationalist coded, that's all that they are. There is no other side to them. That's who they are. So I guess your best argument, in my opinion, is going to be the Jesus argument, which is show me where Jesus would reject the immigrants. Show me where he would say, yeah, you know what? Poor people don't need health care. Kids don't need food stamps. I think a nice point is, hey, quit focusing on the parents and focus on the kids. I just bring it all back to kids all the time, because if we can focus on the kids, when people say things like, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, my mom would always say, if you, like, I'm totally messing up, but like, you can, if you don't work, you don't eat. And it's like, so you're gonna punish their kids too? Like, the food stamps are being given to people with children. If you don't have children and you're collecting food stamps, what are you getting, like $12 a month? You aren't getting anything. It's for the kids. So we can attempt to have civil dialogue with them if they're willing to listen. But on most of the lives that I am just kind of in the chat and listening in, I really just think it's for the entertainment for us. And I think that has value, but I think it doesn't have value in actually changing the minds of MAGA and getting them to vote blue. And so I guess that's where I'm like, this isn't doing it. This isn't changing any minds, because ultimately I want to see minds changed, because I don't want the mango man to get back into office. So